Hey everyone, for this second part of the Chapter 8 screencast, we're going to start out with reflecting on the purpose for why we read that chapter. So in your packet, there's this little space here where you can write down some of your ideas or reflect on your thinking for the purpose for why we read. So what is Mama and Dad's response to Byron's behavior in this chapter? And when you're done reflecting on that, you can join me here. I'm just going to review quickly about making inferences because I know in previous screencasts, Miss Weston and I have talked about this a lot already, but I wanted to give you some resources so that you can practice using this skill in your packet for Chapter 8, because the skill is so important as a reader, as a writer, when you're analyzing things. It's going to help you as you're getting older. So please use these when you're writing your responses for today's work, and then also in the future. You can come back and use these skills. So making inferences, remember, is a level 2 skill because you're combining what you know from the book or from a text with what you know in your brain. So the background knowledge that you know. You're using story clues to discover what is not directly stated. So making inferences is kind of like reading between the lines. It also kind of relates to that quote sandwich lesson that I shared with you. So you might make an inference and support your inference with a quote. And on this slide, I just included different sentence frames that you could use. So when you're writing out your answers in your packet, you can make sure that they're complete sentences if you use these. So the basic ones are just right here on this poster. I predict, blah, blah, blah. My guess is, I infer, it could be that, maybe, this could mean, and perhaps. So those are all different ways that if you use those thinking stems and then add on what you know from the text with what you're combining with your background knowledge, you'll have a complete inference. If you're specifically making an inference about character traits, you could try some of these out. So when this character said these words, I can infer that he or she is blah, blah, blah. So you can pause and look at some of those if you want to. And then I have one more slide of sentence starters for you. So if you use these, you'll be making really solid inferences. And let's look at the work that you have to do in your packet. Your comprehension questions, you have to circle at least 2 that you are going to answer. So again, unless you want to challenge, you don't have to do all 4. But I'll read the options to you and make sure that you write the question number on this line here and that your response is complete and thoughtful, that you're not rushing through this. Option 1. When Dad first surprised the family with the new Ultra Glide, what was Mama's reaction, and why did she react in this way? If you need a hint, go to page 109. Option 2. Mama and Daddy had threatened to send Byron to Grandma Sand's house many times, but never did. On pages 119 to 120, Kenny gives 3 reasons why he thinks his parents are bluffing about sending Byron to her house. What are those 3 reasons? Option number 3, what are Mama's reasons for sending Byron to stay with Grandma Sands? If you need a hint, go to page 118. And finally, your 4th option is make a prediction. How do you think the Watson children will like Birmingham? Hint, go back to the Chapter 1 screencast and review what Alabama is like during this time. And for your comprehension activities, you only have to choose one of these. Given what we know is happening in Alabama during the time that the Watsons decide to visit Birmingham, do you recommend that the family should go? And what advice would you give them about the trip? So again, you can watch Chapter 1's screencast, Part 1, for a review about what was going on during that time in history in Alabama. Option 2, imagine that you are Grandma Sands. Write a letter to Byron explaining how he will be expected to behave at her house in Birmingham, and describe how Birmingham will be different from Flint. There is no exit ticket today. If you have any questions at all, please email us, join our office hours, comment on the Google Classroom posts and ask. We are happy to help.